Okay. I feel like, hello, I feel like a lot more people have showed up than I would have anticipated. I feel like, welcome in, welcome Mads the Beaver, welcome Esper, welcome Shinken Magenta, I suppose. Apologies if I pronounced your name incorrectly. This is, I suppose, a voice. Okay, so I've realized that a lot of people started streaming before they do their debut because, oh, okay. Thank you, Dor. Welcome in. I feel like a lot more people start streaming before they do their debut stream because it is a lot less nerve-wracking than doing this live the first time. But, you know, um, we're already here, so I suppose let's go. Thank you, Mads. I would say the same to you as well, but I have not heard you, I don't think. So on the agenda today, we are doing some introductions, and then Kuroi, who I don't know if they're here, has submitted a story for me to read, as well as Shima VT, which is who is a very adorable another bird VTuber. So yes, yes, I do. I can also toggle them off. One moment. Oh no, I have made a mistake already. I see. I've put the 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Oh no, there's problems. Hold on. There's welcome in, Patchy. I see. Okay. Hopefully this works. What was I going to say? I am glad that you like my voice because primarily I will just be reading you things for the majority of the entire stream. So, I hope you're ready. I think. Hold on a second. I'm not sure if Shima is here, but we will go ahead and start reading that first. So, and then also after I'm done doing the readings, I will be showing off some of my art, and then we're gonna go into the picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which is one of my favorite texts of all time, and also very appropriate for Pride Month, which I suppose is the last day. So, fun fact for those literature buffs, the picture of Dorian Gray was, thank you Nintendo for the follow. The picture of Dorian Gray was actually used to convict Oscar Wilde because it used to be illegal to be gay. So it was used in court against him. And this was after it had already been edited down. They've removed quite a bit of information that would have convicted him. Hey Birdie, welcome in. I think you... 1 second, are you? Oh yes, you are. Excellent. So you are Shima VT, is that correct? Yes, yeah. We'll be reading your text very soon. I'm just discussing the picture of Dorian Gray. Yes, well, you see, it used to be illegal to be gay, and Oscar Wilde, a gay man, had written a text that has a lot of homoerotic undertones. And so, I suppose back in the day, straight people didn't often write about people who were not. And yes, it was a work of fiction, and I believe one of the only novels he's written in his lifetime. He'd written quite a few short stories, some works of poetry, but it was his only full-length novel. Yes. Welcome in, Jin. It's good to see you. Alright, well, I hope you have sweet dreams, and hopefully the alerts don't wake you too much. I will have to change the sound on that, but that was on me for not doing a test stream before my debut. So, we will start with Birdie May, aka Shima VT's text, and let's just dive into it. There we go. Okay. Let me pull that up. Also, I cannot check this right now. I'm wondering if you are okay with the audio, just to see if the difference between the volume of the music and then also my voice is fine. Okay. Okay, alright, well if everything's working, then we're good. Okay, so, preface. This segment takes place in a dystopian setting. Hold on, let me move this over. I'm not glancing off to the side. This segment takes place in a dystopian setting in which a private intel agency by the name of SOMA, otherwise known as the Security Office of the Monitoring of Affairs, exists to collect intel and carry out assignments for the influential and powerful at a cost. Money from missions is funneled into an associated research lab by the name of SOMA Research Institute, which to the public conducts groundbreaking research in the medical field. However, behind closed doors, the Research Institute is conducting experiments in order to discover ways to enhance mankind. These experiments are part of what's known as the Hound Project. Participants in this project are subject to various tests and treatments that enhance their natural abilities, such as strength, speed, and endurance. These participants are then employed by the intel agency as hounds to assist field agents in missions. Field agents who are officially assigned hounds are called handlers. Historically, hounds are treated as second-class employees and are considered disposable by the agency. As such, they are treated akin to actual dogs. For example, the monitoring device that's worn around a hound's neck is vital to their protection and safety. However, its design resembles that of a collar. Hounds are officially initiated into the agency once they have been assigned a handler and have received their monitoring device in an induction ceremony, often nicknamed as the collaring ceremony. Interesting. I hope this is about... Oh, okay. So now we begin. I hope this is about a promotion. Oh, that's funny. I wasn't trying to be funny. Judging by her supervisor's smile, it was clear to Allison that he took no offense to her tone. One of Soma's top field agents, she was a respected figure at headquarters, and this respect wasn't limited to just those beneath her either. Of course, she knew her place, but a little teasing kept the workplace amusing for her. I think I might have something better for you than a promotion. Really, last time you said that, you gave me a congratulatory cake. No cake this time. Even better. Have a seat, Miss Claire. As he motions to a chair before reaching down to unlock one of the drawers behind his desk. One moment. And he motions to a chair before reaching down to unlock one of the drawers behind his desk. As she takes a seat, she watches him, and she sits up a little taller to see if she could peek over the top of the desk to catch a glimpse of what her supervisor was fetching. That slight smile on his face, it suggested a hint of excitement, or perhaps it was amusement. Whatever the emotion, it was positive, like if it was something he wanted to do. Crossing her legs, she sat patiently for the next turn in their conversation, which seemed to have come when a manila file was slid across the tabletop towards her. A brow arches, she casts a glance to the man across from her. "Read it," he invites, leaning back in his seat and holding his hands on the wooden desk. That smile of his still lingering. It's clear she's hesitant. Files in the past typically meant something serious, and while most of the time they were high stakes, the circumstances surrounding this file was different. If it was really a mission, there would have been her mission partners here with her. Why was she alone? Oh, welcome in, Hidoka. We are currently doing some text reading by Shima, who has very kindly, or Birdie May in this chat, has very kindly provided us a story to read. Thank you, Konu, and welcome in. Go on, don't be scared. Gentle coaxing from her supervisor. Yet she still didn't reach out to take the file yet, although she did catch the name on the tab on the side of the folder. Lu E. Lu, is this another attempt at diversifying Soma? Don't talk so bitterly, you haven't even read what's inside yet. Besides, he's been with us for a bit already. Oh? In what department? Well, if you just opened the file, you'd find out. Okay, we'll do it your way. Regardless of whether or not it was a purposeful attempt to pique her interest, her supervisor's words finally pushed her to pull the file towards her, Allison opening it slowly so as not to disturb the neat pages that were tucked away behind the cover. A photograph attached with a paperclip to the inside of the folder stuck out, and as brows furrowed, she immediately shifted her attention to what information was printed alongside the picture. Thank you, Hidoga. Yes, Konu, I have fangs, apparently, which is very nice. And a face. Oh, I do have some other model toggles as well, but I will be showing those off later. So please stick around. Okay, so the text says, Eden Liu, April 2nd, 6'3", hound. And she continued to study the photograph carefully, Allison searching through her memory for instances in which she had seen this face. Amber eyes, dark hair, a hound. She had crossed paths with in the training room a few times, a hound associated with handlers she'd previously known. Why was she holding his file? What's the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious? Surely you've seen him around. He's infamous. Absolutely not. Her tone was decisive, as if a decision had already been made. Allison, you haven't even heard me out yet. Oh, thank you so much for the raid. I do not know how to pronounce your name, but I do recognize you from the Twitter. I don't think I have a shout out message yet. But Helmia? Alright. Hello, welcome in, and thank you so much for the raid. If you haven't already followed Helmia, please go ahead and check them out. Oh, and actually, I'll go ahead and drop a follow right now. Thank you so much for the raid, and welcome in. I am just doing some text reading right now. This will be the majority of the streams you'll see from me, along with a little bit of molding as a treat. Welcome in, Shoko. You were cooking. What were you making? Thank you, Red Panda Piran, for the welcome in. Alright, so currently we are reading Birdie May's text. We are in the middle of a conversation. The operating agent has been assigned a hound, someone who sort of, what did the text say? Almost like a second-class citizen in this sort of agency, and she is not pleased about it, so let us read on and see why. Kimchi fried rice, that's delicious. I do love fried rice. Alright. Yeah, thank you. Oh boy. I foresaw this being a problem, and that is the inability to pronounce names. Thank you so much for the follow, May, Wuku, as well as Sierra. And thank you for congratulating me on the debut. Alright, there we go. Okay. Absolutely not. Her tone was decisive, as if a decision had already been made. Allison, you haven't even heard me out yet. No need. You already know where I stand on the matter. Tisk tisk, and here I thought you'd give me a chance to explain. I'm a floater. I work with other agents who need me. I don't need a hound. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but you might not work with any other agents if you don't accept him as your hound. The ticking of the clock on the wall seemed to have grown louder suddenly. The clatter in the hallway of interns going to on their lunch break was as distinct as the room fell silent at this news. Allison's heart seems to... Reading is hard. Allison's heart seeming to beat a little faster now, a little harder. Are you threatening me? Threatening? No. Pressuring you? Yes. Miss Claire, I'm sure you're aware of the reputation this hound has among their handlers. As a top agent, I respected your continuous refusal to be assigned a hound, despite multiple attempts at persuading you, but I'm afraid your time to refuse has run out. Smiling, still smiling, as if he was so certain she'd give in with just a little fight. More ravens to join the conspiracy. Thank you, Mads. Are there... There's a lot of birds. There's a lot of birds in here. So I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but there's actually a Twitter list full of corvids. that I've been privileged to be added to. And then also I think wow, names are difficult. One moment. I am also part of a VTuber Discord called the Aviary, full of bird VTubers, and it is rather chaotic as one would expect. But if you're interested in those, I will be well. If you message me on Twitter, I will see if I can get those lists for you. There are so many birds. Okay, and we continue. How out of character it would be for her to step down when she felt so passionately about the issue at hand. So what, you're just going to assign him to me so he can tag along on my missions? So you can finally be rid of him? I refuse to take on hounds because I think it's disgusting how disposable this agency views them. And I respect that, but you truly are someone's last resort at this point. Quite frankly, Miss Claire, if it weren't for your stubborn refusal, I would have assigned him to you initially. Imagine how many headaches I would have avoided. Imagine how much time we all could have saved as an agency. I've taken note of what your conditions were, Miss Claire, and he falls within them all. And a finger jabs at the file that was now in the middle of them, his words emphasized with each motion. Think of how many handlers he's gone through, and he's still kicking just the same. Think of how many field missions he's already been on. He's no rookie. Miss Claire, he was no rookie when he first joined Soma either. Surely his technique could use some work, but he has potential. It'd be a wasted effort if Soma didn't assign him to someone. Oh no. One second. My moderator bot has gone on a rampage and has timed out somebody for no reason, and I don't know how to fix it. So, just give me one moment and see if I can reverse this. I did not anticipate this happening. How do you untime out someone? Oh no. Yeah. One second. Okay, that is not helpful. Um, are there any streamers in chat that can help me unremove Mads? Yes, apparently the beaver has unfortunately breathed its last. I am currently trying to figure out how to fix this. It is not easy. I think. Wait, hold on. If someone was timed out for 300 seconds, I'm sure that they'd be able to come back. What can I do via my creator dashboard? Unfortunately, not much. What am I trying to fix? Well, thank you, Sir Quacky. And Esper, unfortunately, um, how shall I say it? Mads was a little too vocal and a little too rowdy and has been timed out by the chatbot. Ah, I can time them out for 1 second and it will overwrite it. Be gone, thought. Esper, that's not how you spell that thought. That is the thought inside your head, and I understand why you would say that, but not quite appropriate for this particular situation. um, you know what? Let's just hope for the best and keep on continuing. Thank you for your patience. We will start. Okay. And so I think Miss Claire says, then assign him to someone else. Ooh, tell me who, Allison. If I had anyone left to assign him to, you wouldn't be here. And so I repeat, if you don't take him on, you won't be going on any other missions. You won't be going back out into the field. You used to be an intern here, correct? I'm sure you still remember how to fulfill some of your intern duties. Yeah, I don't know why this is happening, Esper, but I think that it will be okay because being timed out only makes you go away for 5 minutes, and I'm sure that it will pass very quickly and it will be fine. I will take a look at it after stream. And she purses her lips in response to his remark. How insulting, how unappreciative. After all the work she'd done as a field agent, after all the injuries she had sustained on the job, after all the sexism she had to endure on as one of the few female agents employed and trained by Soma. All of that, and the agency still had the audacity to demote her. Her silence that followed his ultimatum seemed satisfactory to her supervisor. Relaxing his frame, he sits back into his chair once more, a hand pushing the manila folder towards her again. I suggest you take this and familiarize yourself with the basics. You'll be meeting him soon, and it'd be in your interest to know what to expect. A pause then, hands steepling in front of him as he muses. Though, it may be difficult to really know what to expect. He's quite the character. Oh, Mads, I see you were trying to share my Twitter link. Okay, yes, links are not allowed. I do apologize just because sometimes the bots come in and start posting links. But yes, thank you, Shuko, for figuring that out. We will get that sorted, but please refrain from posting links for the time being until I figure out how to untime out people, but I'm glad that you were not banned. In one ear and out the other, indignant, she chose to ignore what was being said to her in favor of reading what was detailed in the file before her. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different handlers, strong combat skills. Thank you for the follow, Dark Ray. Strong combat skills, no technique, a rogue fighting style. Previous handlers note traits of impulsiveness, impertinence, and cockiness, a history of minor and not so minor altercations with other hounds and handlers, multilingual with the ability to easily code switch. You hate the fact that hounds are so disposable. They're disposable because of their own incompetence. She hears the sounds of something being placed on the desk, and it draws her attention away from the file. Looking up, she's faced with a box, one that looked vaguely familiar to her. Thank you, Konu. And I'm glad you're enjoying this so far, because, well, it's actually almost over, so I'm curious to see what happens next. You recognize this from the collaring ceremonies, yes? You'll need this after he has been officially assigned to you. Shouldn't take long, just a few documents to process. And he opens the box, revealing a collar that matched those she had seen on hounds in the training room. Beside it was a remote that she frequently saw clipped to the belts of the handlers. Seeing those two things in front of her so closely made her swallow hard, and strange feelings began to well up inside of her. You can keep the file, protect it. We don't want information to leak. You should expect a meeting with him within the next few days. Remember to be nice to him. He should be up to your standards and expectations, but he might challenge them as well. Just keep an open mind. Like I said, I would have assigned him to you from the very beginning. He's right at your level when it comes to ability. You two will make a great pair. There's a sudden ring of the telephone then, which causes her to jolt in her seat. An important call, she was told, and she was easily dismissed to go on about the rest of her day. Somehow, this whole meeting was a blur to her. Going in blind, she wasn't sure what to expect. But now she was walking out with a file and collar of her apparently new hound, and she was having difficulty processing it all still. A rogue hound, a delinquent. She would be his 5th handler, which was plenty more than many hounds as someone could say they have been assigned to. Frankly, not many lasted to have more than one handler. Reckless, she thought, unlocking her office and letting herself in. Absolutely reckless how this agency treats them. With a sigh, she places everything in her hands on the desk, a slight frown visible as she eyes the box. Her attention then turns to the file once more, and with much less hesitation this time she opens it again. Her gaze immediately meeting that of Eden's gaze in the photo, an unforgettable face, for more reasons than one. Oh, how the other handlers will talk, once they learn who Allison's new assignment will be. The end, for now. And thank you so much, Birdie, for submitting this text for me to read. I hope everyone enjoyed. Ah, yes, unbanned. Well, I didn't realize that unbanned also untimed out people, but now people can speak to their heart's content and not worry so much about being silenced for posting links. All right. So, 1 second. Yes, it is very uncomfortable to own someone else. I believe that was also the main character's apprehension. And yes, it was wonderful. I was wondering if there were further chapters. If there were further chapters. Because I think everyone can agree with me that we're really curious to see what happens next. Bedtime story time. So, it's fine. I was gonna say something about the collaring, but we'll just continue. So let's take a small break from the reading, and I just wanted to show off some of the art that I've gotten over the past little while. Unfortunately, I have not set up my shoutout commands, otherwise I would be doing that, but I do have the Twitter handles, and they will be visible. So, one moment. Oh, yep, there's me. Okay. So, first of all, this is Myth, who did my starting soon screen. Did an absolutely excellent job. And I just wanted to show that off to everybody. Mini Jirou Nugget. Oh no. I feel like at some point there needs to be, you know, one of those little mascot-y type things. But it's just like a chicken nugget with legs. I'm glad that you had fun with this. I was actually wondering, I was admiring the background so much that I was wondering if I could pay you a little bit more to have a version without me in the image, so I can use this as a just chatting backdrop. Because right now I just have the void, and I was thinking that having some books might be nice. Oh, Shuko, what's a manju? But yeah, this is by My Thinkle. I prefer to call them Myth, but they are currently in chat. Please give them a follow, and also I believe it is the same handle on Twitter as well. Okay, perfect. But I do love this scene, and this file is massive, by the way. I had to shrink it down quite a bit to get it to fit, but just the amount of detail in the background, I do absolutely adore this, and I do want to learn a little bit of After Effects so that I can do a little bit of animation with this. Perhaps a little flickering of the candle, maybe some of the cherry blossom petals in the back can drift. The little round head dumpling looking thing. Alright, I'm not sure what that is. The void. Yes, the void. I think it's good. I think it's good. You really get to see the detail. But thank you again, my Thinkle, and let us move on. So next, I don't think they are in chat right now, but next will be Esper. So Esper did this art for me that, well, actually, this was partially a gift art. I did not particularly commission this, but I did use this piece to promote my stream. Oh, Esper, okay, you made it in. Sorry, the last thing I saw was you on Discord talking about your Wi-Fi being an ass. Uh, and I'm quoting word for word. I'm so mad my Wi-Fi is being an ass. Welcome in. I did not see you say the detail earlier. But yes, Esper, you did a wonderful job. And I do love this piece as well. So thank you so much. And we will, last but not least, we do have one more. So this is by Kuroi, I believe is how you pronounce their name. I am not good at pronunciations. I should have asked people before, but you know, that requires planning and thinking and not panicking last minute. So, unfortunately, it was not meant to be, but there is their tag, and this was actually, I think, the expression's very good, very good. Also, well, we're not showing this on stream, but there's also they're also doing another piece for me that's a little bit less suitable for work. So keep an eye out for that. I will be retweeting it whenever that happens. It's very interesting to see what people do with the wings. It's absolutely fascinating. I think it's quite the challenge, and thank you so much for taking the time and dedication to depicting them. And by the way, hold on a second. So we're here, but let me move back to the other screen. There we go. Let's just change this. Okay, I'm going to go through the Vtuber Showcase. Small glitch effects caught me barking. That's fair. It's quite nice. There's actually quite a bit of glitch effects you'll see. Well, those are Easter eggs for later. No need to worry about that right now. We're just starting. Okay, so the different expressions that are available. So we have this one. Actually, I pressed a button. I don't know what it did. I'm not pressing the correct buttons. That would explain it. Hold on. Yeah, so the hood goes on and off. I did want to thank Megaby for doing all of this rigging. She did a absolutely fantastic job. Esper, don't. Yes, those not literally eggs. Mads, not actually eggs. The hood. Yes, this was quite nice. And then also we have I'm just pressing buttons, but I'm not exactly sure what they do. This one did something. Do I know what it is? I don't know. All right. Oh yes, this one is my favorite, and took quite a bit of finagling. So there will be. I don't have that turned on right now, but when I do stream regularly, we will be playing with some voice effects. So, who is the stranger? Where is Jirou? Mads is struggling with object permanence today. Yes. And then so we have oh yeah, the Thirst Trap edition. Persona. I mean fair. Speaking of Persona, did you know that it recently came out for the Nintendo Switch? Persona 5 and Persona 3 that is. So, I'm looking forward to checking it out. Jirou, someone took your stream and your clothes. Konu, please stop barking. Hold on, I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it again, Esper. We will have to wait till I'm affiliate, and that will be a channel point redeem. No, Esper, that's not happening. It's too late. Okay, 1 second. And, oh yes, right, the wings can go away. I am just a man. Just a little man. Just a little guy. Yes, I will actually, yes, I keep saying yes. I'm a miserable little pile of secrets. If I make it a points redeem, no, the points redeem will be for me saying weird stuff. The chicken wings are gone. I've been debirdified, yeah. But yes, so that does this, and then also I can. Oh, there's a blush. I am actually going to speedrun affiliate. That is in the plan. Un Unjiro's your jaw. Technically, it's huh. That's true. I would just be. So for those of you who don't know, the name that I've taken is actually in Mandarin. It's Ja. No. Wow, I forgot my entire other language. Ja Jirou, which is fried chicken. Jirou is chicken. It's poultry. So yeah, it would be. It would technically be unfries your chicken, I suppose. So I would be a raw chicken. The existence of a fried chicken implies that there's an unfried chicken somewhere. There's like an unfried Jirou just in the wild. Note to self: don't cook chicken or. I mean, fair. And then also there's I can be sad or sympathetic, one or the other. And then also this is the sussy look. Unchicken's your VTuber. I mean, this is the unchicken button. Nope, wrong button. What does an unfried Jirou look like? I don't know. This is some like really weird, suspicious lore. There's just an unfried Jirou somewhere. I think that's all of the toggles. I'm not going to press anything else in case something happens or breaks. We're just not going to touch it. We're just gonna leave it like this. Unfried Joe probably has no hair highlights. That's true. Why? Oh, hold on. The music ended. I was like, why are the vibes off? So, I also did want to mention that the songs here are courtesy of Stream Beats by Harris Heller. So, thank you so much for all of this free copyright-free music. This also implies a deep fried gyro. We don't talk about deep fried gyro. It's either live to see yourself become the villain or become the fried chicken. I mean, what if you're already the fried chicken? What do? You don't talk about. I mean, the deep fried gyro. It's like the deep web version. Amazing. Deep fried gyro has fully red. Is that going to be my Genshin Impact character? Esper is incredibly galaxy brained. I will also be relying on them to come up with our Genshin Impact banner. There's going to be, what is it? There's fried chicken, there's French fries, and then Esper is going to be ketchup. Welcome in, Leona. It's okay, Shuko. The eggs aren't actually fertilized, so they don't actually ever become chickens. Mad says, Deep Fried Jirou looks like their model has been screenshot 100 times. It moves like Uncanny Valley. That is terrifying. Oh, except for Balut, that's correct. And that is also terrifying. Uh, right, so, we have to go back to the showcase because, uh, one thing. Oh, yes. So, one of the things I wanted to unveil, this was very anticlimactic because I just kind of threw it on there, but this is my affiliate push. I will be streaming these 6 days, and if I have at least 3 viewers for each of these streams, I'll be able to get affiliate because I already meet the requirements for the followers, and I will have met the requirements for the amount of time streamed. Esper says Baloo good, alright. Baloo, please no. Correction, whose eggs are we for life? Konu, you know, this is an 18 plus stream, but we're just not gonna go there today. T-posing for dominance. Thank you, Mads, I appreciate it. So right now it is almost 9 o'clock EST. I will be streaming at 10 for about an hour each of these days. And I will be asking you guys, my friends, for games that we're going to be playing. I have a list here. One moment. So for the collab games, Jin wanted Fall Guys. There is The Forest, Gary's Mod, Deep, and Mad suggested Deep Rock, Galactic Rock, and Stone. I'm not sure what that is. And there's also going to be Pico Park at my request because we all want to immediately hate each other. And also Uno as well, because that's a lot of fun. And Esper had suggested Valorant. We're going to ignore that. And Jun suggested League of Legends. We are ignoring that as well. And Konu suggested Among Us. I'm willing to consider Among Us. However, there is a bird version called Goose Goose Duck. Leonard, do you feel particularly impassioned about Uno for some particular reason? Chico says, I'm going to cry playing all the things. It's fine. We will all be bad equally, and then nobody will feel worse for themselves. Yes, Goose Goose Duck. It's free. I do really enjoy Uno. Now, the question here is, do you play with all of the rules on? Including the 0, where you swap all of your cards, the 7, where you swap a card with someone. Yes, the chaos mode. Esper, what is Batsu? Konu, what's America? Explain. What is Batsu games? I am but a humble Canadian bird who's not understanding. Although Batsu is definitely not an American term whatsoever, but you know, Batsu games punishments. What is Batsu famous last words? Oh, okay, so is it like you take a shot? Or like someone comes over and punches you in the face? Like speak in a grill voice for the next round. Konu, I'm really curious what a grill voice is. Spicy. Ah, yes, cat. But Mads, you are not. Yeah, so the really fascinating thing is that I don't believe you're Canadian. So one of us is a Canadian animal, and the other one is an actual Canadian. Okay, we're just whatever that is. Whatever that is, Esper. So let's move on to the next story. One second, back to Chatting, there we go. Okay, so this text is submitted by Kurai, who consequently also, what is that word? Words are hard. Incidentally, they also did the art that I had up for the longest time. Story time, yes. Matt says, I'm a beaver, I get a free Canadian pass. If I move to the Upper Peninsula, I'd basically be Canadian anyways. I would disagree, but that is okay. Canada. Yes. America is not fake Canada. It is actually just a little bit worse. Okay, so this one is definitely a lot shorter, so let us begin. You're a verb. There's no title for this. So, I believe this is their backstory. I've only been a detective for a short time, but one of my more memorable cases was around year 1. I'm part of the paranormal sector for the Security and Private Investigation Agency, a subsidiary of our city's police force. It started off as a case where we had to investigate the death of a man. He was supposed to have a bachelor party that night, but was found dead by his mates. The smell of wine and blood never left the uniform I wore that day, mostly because I slipped and fell into his pool of blood. I got a verbal warning from the chief because of it. I mean, no one turned the lights on, and I can't see squat. I wasn't the Thunderbird I was back in year 1 yet. I have horrible eyesight. Being in the current incarnation of the Thunderbird helped with a lot of future work. Anyways, some official stuff here that I'm not allowed to say. We found out it was a case of... Oh, I'm trying to pronounce this. Mananagal, a female variant. She was apparently abandoned at the altar by her lover for quite some time ago to a love affair. Ever since then, she'd target unfaithful grooms and murder them. She talks to the brides about their woes in order to find out about the grooms, befriend them, and just sack them. The chief didn't like my report, so he hit me square in the head and asked me to redo it. I just wrote in the report he slipped and fell into his own demise. He liked it. What kind of paranormal detective doesn't believe in the paranormal? The woman's name is Lydia. She's working as a baker down the street where I live at. She makes the best garlic bread out. She makes the best garlic bread out here. She has to wear ridiculous amounts of protection against garlic when she makes it, though. It's one of the many weaknesses a man in Angle has. Lydia sometimes still gets in trouble. It's getting difficult writing in the reports that all these similar and coincidental deaths are accidents. Gotta start making up new stories for the chief. Knowing QI, this is very in their style. Vampires, I don't know. I'm not sure. Hold on a second. Let me see what this is. I believe this is some sort of Mananagal is a old mythical creature in the Philippines that separates from their lower part of the body and their fangs and wings, give it a vampire-like appearance. I suppose kind of similar to a vampire. The little wing bounces, yes. Konu, do you know what that is? I apologize for absolutely butchering the name to the point where it was unrecognizable. Thank you, Sophia. Just give him the milk. What about the pilk? Thank you for the congratulations and welcome in. That is fair. I'm not too familiar with folklore from the Philippines, but it does sound rather terrifying. No pilk. Konu, do you not know what pilk is? Yeah, that sounds absolutely terrifying. But then what happens from their lower body? Does it fall over, or does it just kind of stand there menacingly without the upper half? Or can it just like walk around? I'm so curious as to how this works. Oh, it stays in place. It's just standing there. I understand. Lower half T-poses and dominance. Excellent. That's somehow worse than what I imagined. Let's see, we have read the text that we wanted to. We did the, what was it? The schedule reveal. We did the model cycle. Oh, hello, Kiora. Welcome in. You can rub garlic or ash on their lower half to prevent them from reattaching themselves. The sun will do the rest of the murdering. So, hello. Yes, I just read your text. I don't know if you were here. I think. Wait, hold on. You were here for this. Apparently, everyone's names are purple, and they all start with K. So I'm starting to get very confused. Konu says, if you... Konu, I'm not going to read that out loud. And nor we'll just pretend that we did not see. I feel like a few of you will say interesting things, and we will just pretend that it did not happen. No bans, but no acknowledgement either. I was hoping that we will get to read the first chapter of The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I'm very excited to share with you. And I just clicked on the Wikipedia article. That is not the text. 1 second. So one of my favorite ways of getting copyright-free texts, or ones that are out, that are now in public domain, is using Project Gutenberg. They have a wonderful library of books. But yes, story time. And let us start with the preface. This preface is quoted, I would say, rather prolifically. So let us begin with The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. The artist is the creator of beautiful things. Oh. There we go. The artist is the creator of beautiful things. To reveal art and conceal the artist is art's aim. The critic is he who can translate into another manner or a new material his impression of beautiful things. The highest, as the lowest form of criticism, is a mode of autobiography. Those who find ugly meanings in beautiful things are corrupt without being charming. This is a fault. Those who find beautiful meanings in beautiful things are the cultivated. For those, there is hope. They are the elect to whom beautiful things mean only beauty. There is no such thing as a moral or an immoral book. Books are well written or badly written. That is all. The 19th century dislike of realism is the rage of Caliban seeing his own face in a glass. The 19th century dislike of romanticism is the rage of Caliban not seeing his own face in a glass. The moral life of man forms parts of the subject matter of the artist, but the morality of art consists in the perfect use of an imperfect medium. No artist desires to prove anything. Even things that are true can be proved. No artist has ethical sympathies, An ethical sympathy in an artist is an unpardonable mannerism of style. No artist is ever morbid. The artist can express everything. Thought and language are to the artist instruments of an art. Vice and virtue are to the artist materials for an art. From the point of view of form, the type of all the arts is the art of the musician. From the point of view of feeling, the artist's craft is the type. All art is at once surface and symbol. Those who go beneath the surface do so at their own peril. Those who read up the symbol do so at their own peril. It is the spectator and not life that art really mirrors. Diversity of opinion about a work of art shows that the work is new, complex, and vital. When critics disagree, the artist is in accord with himself. We can forgive a man for making a useful thing, as long as he does not admire it. The only excuse for making a useless thing is that one admires it intensely. All art is quite useless. Oscar Wilde. And let us move on to chapter 1. The studio was filled with the rich odor of roses, and when the light summer wind stirred amidst the trees of the garden, there came through the open door the heavy scent of the lilac, or the more delicate perfume of the pink flowering thorn. From the corner of the divan of Parisian saddlebags on which he was laying, smoking, as was his custom, innumerable cigarettes, Lord Henry Wotton was just catching the gleam of the honey-sweet and honey-colored blossoms of a laburnum, whose tremulous branches seemed hardly able to bear the burden of a beauty so flame-like as theirs. And now and then the fantastic shadows of birds in flight flitted across the long tussore silk curtains that were stretched in front of the huge window, producing a kind of momentary Japanese effect. Mind you, this was written quite some time ago, so there are a few outdated terms, I would say, anyways, making him think of those pallid-based painters of Tokyo who, through the medium of an art that is necessarily immobile, seek to convey the sense of swiftness and motion. The sullen murmur of bees shouldering their way through the long unmown grass, or circling with monotonous insistence round the dusky gilt horns of the struggling woodbine, seemed to make the stillness more oppressive. The dim roar of London was like the bourbon note of a distant organ. In the center of the room, clamped to an upright easel, stood the full-length portrait of a young man of extraordinary personal beauty, and in front of it, some distance away, was the sitting artist himself, Basil Hallward, whose sudden disappearance some years ago caused, at the time, some public excitement, and have given rise to so many strange conjectures. As the painter looked at the gracious and comely form he had so skillfully mirrored in his art, a smile of pleasure passed upon his face, and seemed about to linger there. But he suddenly started up, and closing his eyes, placed his fingers upon the lids, as though he sought to imprison within his brain some curious dream from which he feared he might wake. "It is your best work, Basil, the best thing you've ever done," said Lord Henry languidly. "You must certainly send it next year to the Grosvenor. The Academy is too large and too vulgar. Whenever I have gone there, there have been so many people that I've not been able to see in the pictures, which was dreadful, or so many pictures that I've not been able to see the people, which was worse. The Grosvenor is really the only place." "I don't think I shall send it anywhere," he answered, tossing his head back in that odd way that used to make his friends laugh at him in Oxford. "No, I won't send it anywhere." Lord Henry elevated his eyebrows and looked at him in amazement through the thin blue wreaths of smoke that curled up in such fanciful whirls from his heavy opium-tainted cigarette. "Not send it anywhere? My dear fellow, why? Have you any reason? What odd chaps you painters are. You do anything in the world to gain a reputation. As soon as you have one, you seem to want to throw it away. You do anything... Oh, hold on, yep. It is silly of you, for there is only one thing in the world worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. A portrait like this would set you far above all the young men in England, and make the old men quite jealous, if old men were ever capable of any emotion." I know you will laugh at me, he replied, but I really can't exhibit it. I put too much of myself into it. Lord Henry stretched himself out on the divan and laughed. Yes, I knew you would, but it is quite true all the same. Too much of yourself in it. Upon my word, Basil, I did not know you were so vain, and I really can't see any resemblance between you, with your rugged, strong face and your coal-black hair, and this young Adonis, who looks as if he was made out of ivory and rose leaves. Why, my dear Basil, he is Narcissus, and you, well, of course you are an intellectual, you have an intellectual expression and all that, but beauty, real beauty, ends where an intellectual expression begins. Intellect is in itself a mode of exaggeration, and destroys the harmony of any face. The moment one sits down to think, one becomes all nose, or all forehead, or something horrid. Look at the successful men in any of the learned professions. How perfectly hideous they are, except, of course, in the church. But in the church, they don't think. A bishop keeps on saying at the age of 80 what he was told to say when he was a boy of 18. And as a natural consequence, he always looks absolutely delightful. Your mysterious young friend, whose name you have never told me, but whose picture really fascinates me, never thinks. I feel quite sure of that. He is some brainless, beautiful creature who should always be here in winter when we have no flowers to look at, and always here in summer when we want something to chill our intelligence. Don't flatter yourself, Basil. You are not the least like him. Esper says low-key, though. That is a mood. There. You don't understand me, Harry, answered the artist. Of course I am not like him. I know that perfectly well. Indeed, I should be sorry to look like him. You shrug your shoulders. I am telling you the truth. There is a fatality about all physical and intellectual distinction, the sort of fatality that seems to dog through history the faltering steps of kings. It is better not to be different from one's fellows. The ugly and stupid have it the best of us. Have the best of it in this world. They can sit at their ease and gape at the play. If they know nothing of victory, they are at least spared the knowledge of defeat. They live as well as they should live, undisturbed, indifferent, and without disquiet. They neither bring ruin upon others nor receive it from alien hands. Your rank and wealth, Harry, my brains, such as they are, my art, whatever it may be, Dorian Gray's good looks, we shall all suffer for what the gods have given us. Suffer terribly. And that, my friends, is called foreshadowing. Dorian Gray, is that his name? Asked Lord Henry, walking across the studio towards Basil Hallward. Yes, that is his name. I didn't intend to tell it to you. But why not? Oh, I can't explain. When I like people immensely, I never tell their names to anyone. It is like surrendering a part of them. I have grown to love secrecy. It seems to be the one thing that can make modern life mysterious or marvelous to us. The commonest thing is delightful if one only hides it. When I leave town now, I never tell people where I'm going. If I did, I would lose all of my pleasure. It is a silly habit, I dare say, but somehow it seems to bring a great deal of romance into one's life. I suppose you think me awfully foolish about it? Esper says, oh, it's literally a picture of Dorian Gray. Yes, Esper. The novel is called The Picture of Dorian Gray, and it is about his picture. And also it is about Dorian Gray. Indeed. Not at all, answered Lord Henry. Not at all, my dear Basil. You seem to forget that I am married, and the one charm of marrying is that it makes a life of deception absolutely necessary for both parties. I never know where my wife is, and my wife never knows what I am doing. When we meet, when we do occasionally, when we dine out together, or go down to the Duke's, we tell each other the most absurd stories with the most serious of faces. My wife is very good at it, much better in fact than I am. She never gets confused over her dates, and I always do. But when she does find me out, she makes no row at all. I sometimes wish she would, but she merely laughs at me. Hey Tej, welcome in. I hope you're feeling better. I saw on Twitter that you were feeling unwell back in some time ago. They're both having affairs, yes. So the picture of Dorian Gray is very much a critique on society as much as it is about beauty and one's pursuit of it. But for those of you who actually know, I was going to say some spoilers, but I think we will let Esper find out naturally as it comes along. I hate the way you talk about married life, Harry, said Basil Howard, strolling towards the door that led into the garden. I believe you really are a very good husband, but that you are thoroughly ashamed of your own virtues. You are an extraordinary fellow. You never say a moral thing, and you never do a wrong thing. Your cynicism is simply a pose. Tej says that they're getting better. That's good to hear. Matt says, I don't know the story, no spoilers. Okay, no spoilers at all. There have been... So Dorian Gray has appeared as a fictional character in quite a few works. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is being one of those. So if you've seen the movie, you probably will know how this ends up happening. Being natural is simply a pose, and the most irritating pose I know, cried Lord Henry, laughing. And the two young men went into the garden together and ensconced themselves on a long bamboo seat that stood in the shade of a tall laurel bush. The sunlight slipped over the polished leaves. In the grass, white daisies were tremulous. After a pause, Lord Henry pulled out his watch. I'm afraid I must be going, Basil, he murmured. And before I go, I insist on your answering a question I put to you some time ago. What is that? Said the painter, keeping his eyes fixed on the ground. You know quite well. I do not, Harry. So, yes, I thought I was getting a little bit confused, but one of the characters is called Lord Henry, and Basil calls him Harry for some reason. Yes, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, of which Dorian Gray is one of them. Well, I will tell you what it is. I want you to explain to me why you won't exhibit Dorian Gray's picture. I want the real reason. I told you the real reason. No, you did not. You said it was because there was too much of yourself in it. Now that is childish. Harry, said Basil Howard, looking at him straight in the face. Every portrait that is painted with feeling is a portrait of the artist, not the sitter. The sitter is merely the accident, the occasion. It is not he who is revealed by the painter. It is rather the painter who, on the colored canvas, reveals himself. The reason I will not exhibit this picture is that I am afraid that I have shown in it the secret of my own soul. Lord Henry laughed. And what is that? He asked. I will tell you, said Howard, but an expression of perplexity came across his face. I am all expectation, Basil, continued his companion, glancing at him. Oh, there really is very little to tell, Harry, answered the painter, and I'm afraid you will hardly understand it. Perhaps you will hardly believe it. Lord Henry smiled, and leaning down, plucked a pink-petaled daisy from the grass and examined it. I am quite sure I shall understand it, he replied, gazing intently at the little golden, white-feathered disc. And for believing things, I can believe anything, provided that it is quite incredible. The wind shook some blossoms from the trees, and the heavy lilac blooms, with their clustering stars, moved to and fro in the languid air. A grasshopper began to chirp by the wall, and like a blue thread, a long, thin dragonfly floated past on its brown gauze wings. Lord Henry felt as if he could hear Basil Howard's heart beating and wonder what was coming. The story is simply this, said the painter after some time. Yes, Mads, I can believe anything. It's extraordinary. The story is simply this, said the painter after some time. 2 months ago, I went to a crush at Lady Brandon's. You know, we poor artists have to show ourselves in society from time to time, just to remind the public that we are not savages. With an evening coat and a white tie, as you told me once, anybody, even a stockbroker, can gain a reputation for being civilized. Well, after I had been in the room for about 10 minutes, talking to some overdressed dowagers and tedious academicians, I suddenly became conscious of someone who was looking at me. I turned halfway round and saw Dorian Gray for the first time. When our eyes met, I felt I was growing pale. A curious sensation of terror came over me. I knew that I had come face to face with someone whose mere personality was so fascinating that if I allowed it to do so, it would absorb my whole nature, my whole soul, my very art itself. I did not want an external influence in my life. You know yourself, Harry, how independent I am by nature. I've always been my own master, had at least always been so until I met Dorian Gray. Then, but I don't know how to explain it to you, something seemed to tell me that I was on the verge of a terrible crisis in my life. I had a strange feeling that fate had in store for me exquisite joys and exquisite sorrows. I grew afraid and turned to quit the room. It was not conscious that what it was not conscience that made me do so. It was a sort of cowardice. I take no credit to myself for trying to escape. Ah yes, the gay panic. Conscience and cowardice are really the same things, Basil. Conscious is the trade name of the firm, that is all. I don't believe that, Harry, and I don't believe you do either. However, whatever was my motive, and it may have been pride, for I used to be very proud, I certainly struggled to the door. There, of course, I stumbled against Lady Brandon. "You're not going to run away so soon, Mr. Howard," she screamed out. You know her curiously shrill voice? I will not be attempting to replicate her curiously shrill voice. "Yes, she is a peacock in everything but beauty," said Lord Henry, pulling the daisy to bits with his long, nervous fingers. "I could not get rid of her. She brought me up to royalties, and people with stars and garters, and elderly ladies with gigantic tiaras and parrot noses. She spoke of me as her dearest friend. I'd only met her once before, but she took it to her mind to lionize me. I believe some picture of mine had made a great success at the time, and had been chattered about in the penny newspapers, which is the 19th century standard of immortality. Suddenly I found myself face to face with the young man whose personality had so strangely stirred me. We were quite close, almost touching. Perhaps it was not so reckless after all. It was simply inevitable. We would have spoken to each other without any introduction, I'm sure of that. Dorian told me so afterwards. He too felt that we were destined to know each other." "And how did Lady Brandon describe this wonderful young man?" asked his companion. "I know she goes in for the rapid précis of all of her guests. I remember her bringing me up to a truculent and red-faced old gentleman covered all over with orders and ribbons, and hissing into my ear in a tragic whisper, which must have been perfectly audible to everyone in the room, the most astounding details. I simply fled. I like to find out people for myself, but Lady Brandon treats her guests exactly as an auctioneer treats his goods. She either explains them entirely away or tells one everything about them except what one wants to know." "Poor Lady Brandon, you are so hard on her, Harry," said Albert listlessly. "My dear fellow, she tried to found a saloon and only succeeded in opening a restaurant. How could I admire her? But tell me, what did she say about Mr. Dorian Gray?" "Oh, something like, 'Charming boy, dear mother and I are absolutely inseparable. Quite forget what he does, afraid he doesn't do anything. Oh yes, he plays the piano, or is it the violin, dear Mr. Gray?' Neither of us could help laughing, and we became friends at once." "Laughter is not at all a bad beginning for a friendship, and is far the best ending for one," said the young lord, plucking another daisy. Howard shook his head. "You don't understand what friendship is, Harry," he murmured, "or what enmity is, for that matter. You like everyone. That is to say, you are indifferent to everyone." "How horribly unjust of you," cried Lord Harry, tilting his head back and looking at the little clouds that, like ravelled skeins of glossy white silk, were drifting across the hollow turquoise of the summer sky. "Yes, horribly unjust of you. I make a great difference between people. I choose my friends for their good looks, my acquaintances for their good characters, and my enemies for their good intellects. A man cannot be too careful in the choice of his enemies. I've not got one who is a fool. They are all men of some intellectual power, and consequently, they all appreciate me. Is that very vain of me? I think it is rather vain." "I should think it was, Harry, but according to your category, I must be merely an acquaintance." "My dear old Basil, you are so much more than an acquaintance, and much less than a friend. A sort of brother, I suppose?" Oh, brothers. I don't care for brothers. My elder brother won't die, and my younger brothers seem never to do anything else. Harry, exclaimed Howard, frowning. My dear fellow, I am not quite serious. But I can't help detesting my relations. I suppose it comes from the fact that none of us can stand other people having the same faiths as ourselves. I quite sympathize with the rage of the English democracy against what they call the vices of the upper orders. The masses feel that drunkenness, stupidity, and immorality should be their own special property. And if any one of us makes an ass of himself, he is poaching on their preserves. When poor Southwick got into the divorce court, their indignation was quite magnificent. Yet I don't suppose that 10% of the proletariat live correctly. I don't agree with a single word you have said, and what is more, Harry, I feel sure you don't either. Lord Henry stroked his pointed brown beard and tapped the toe of his patent leather boot with a tasseled ebony cane. How English you are, Basil. That is the second time you've made that observation. If one puts forward an idea to a true Englishman, always a rash thing to do, he never dreams of considering whether the idea is right or wrong. The only thing he considers of any importance is whether he believes it himself. Now, the value of an idea has nothing whatsoever to do with the sincerity of the man who expresses it. Indeed, the probability is that the more insincere the man is, the more purely intellectual the idea will be. As in the case, it will not be colored by either of his wants, his desires, or his prejudices. However, I don't propose to discuss politics, sociology, or metaphysics with you. I like persons better than principles, and I like persons with no principles better than anything else in the world. Tell me more about Mr. Dorian Gray, and how often do you see him? I'm not English, this is Patrick. I am confused, what? Is this a SpongeBob quote? Every day. I couldn't be happy if I didn't see him every day. He is absolutely necessary to me. How extraordinary. I thought you would never care for anything but your art. Ah, I see. He is all my art to me now, said the painter gravely. I sometimes think, Harry, that there are only two eras of importance in the world's history. The first is the appearance of a new medium for art, and the second is the appearance of a new personality for art also. What the intervention what the invention of oil painting was to the Venetians, the face of Antonius was to late Greek sculpture, and the face of Dorian Gray will some day be to me. It is not merely that I paint from him, draw from him, sketch from him. Of course I've done all that, but he is much more to me than a model or a sitter. I won't tell you that I am dissatisfied with what I've done of him, or that his beauty is that art cannot express it. There is nothing that art cannot express, and I know that the work I have done since I met Dorian Gray is good work, is the best work of my life. But in some curious way, I wonder, will you understand me? His personality has suggested to me an entirely new manner in art, an entirely new mode of style. I see things differently. I think of them differently. I can now recreate life in a way that was hidden from me before. A dream of form in days of thought. Who is it who says that? I forget, but it is what Dorian Gray has been to me. The merely visible presence of this lad, for he seems to me a little more than a lad, though he is really over 20, his mere visible presence. Ah, I wonder, can you realize what all this means? Unconsciously he defines for Unconsciously he defines for me the lines of a fresh school, a school that to have in it all the passion of the romantic spirit and all the perfection of a spirit that is Greek. The harmony of soul and body, and how much that is. We in our madness have separated the two, and have invented a realism that is vulgar, an ideality that is void. Harry, if only you knew what Dorian Gray is to me. You remember that landscape of mine for which I grew offered such a huge price, but I would not part with? It is one of the best things I've ever done. And why is it so? Because while I was painting it, Dorian Gray sat beside me. Some subtle influence passed from him to me, and for the first time in my life, I saw in the plain woodland the wonder I had always looked for and always missed. I am getting worse at reading. And I think it is because I did not sleep well last night, and all the words are starting to blur across the page. He Art man be very down bad. So, um, after just reading the first passage, I think you can tell that it is very queer. Um, Especially with the way that Basil fawns over Dorian Gray. He is as the I guess in modern terms one would call him a simp. So yes. But also I seem to have lost the ability to read for now. So we will have to put this on pause. It is quite a bit longer than I had remembered. That wasn't even the first chapter. I mean, I I I think he must have realized it, especially when Basil was talking about the sort of feelings that Dorian elicited in him, and he was trying to run away. I'm quite sure that he was trying to run away from his feelings. I have not quite gotten so tired that my eyes shake, but I have been so tired that they started twitching. Uh, Not currently quite there yet, but I do believe that I might have to end the stream a bit earlier than I had originally intended. Um, but you know what? An hour and a half of reading, that is not terrible. Thank you so much to everyone who is still here. Just one moment, let's find someone to raid. You can't catch me, gay thoughts. Exactly. That's basically Basil in a nutshell. Yes. And I will be streaming quite a bit afterwards. I will be posting the schedule as well, so please keep an eye out for that. Oh, hold on. So a good friend of mine, Kiko Nico, I believe is how you pronounce it, is currently streaming, an artist as well. Uh, I believe he is currently playing Ark Survival Evolved. I do not know what that is. Thank you, Mads. And thank you, Esper, for the congratulations. Yes, we're ending a little bit early, but we've struggled on to the end. Thank you, everyone, for joining me, and I will be back next week. You will actually be seeing me on Monday, and I'll be reaching out to people for some more collaborations. Perhaps we'll play some games. And until then, thanks for coming by, and take care.